Welcome to BUILDLOCK. Each week we break down Deadlock's night shift, looking at who played, what went down, and most importantly, what the rest of us can learn from the builds, the matchups, and the small decisions that really made a difference in these games. As Deadlock keeps growing, we'll cover even more events, but today we are joined by AVG, a notable figure within Deadlock's competitive scene, who earned MVP in this last night shift. We'll be chatting about two of his builds that helped FPS Lounge take the victory against melee creeps. Today we are breaking down averages, a Lady Geist build from the finals match 2, and the Rem support build that got him 90k heals in match 3. I am known as Chankla. Now let's jump into this interview. Hello BUILDLOCK viewers. Join me as I welcome AVG, a known player within Deadlock's competitive scene. Thank you for being our first interview, AVG. How's it going?
It's pretty good. I'm glad to be the first. Very exciting.
For sure. And I know I'm super excited to say that BUILDLOCK is going to be a great source for people just as myself to understand building and itemization, because I feel like the building in Deadlock is so complicated and it scares people away.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, first off, I want to say congratulations on the FPS Lounge victory this past week in the night shift. Yeah, how does it feel?
Feels good. I think it's always very, very important that you get your first win on like a new team or new players, like new roster, because winning fundamentally is a way of validation for the way that you play the game. So when you make a new team in a way, right, and this is like a merge of two teams, so the team is essentially like completely different than it used to be when we played on Lomein. And so to win with that team with kind of like a new system with new players, it does feel validating. It feels like we're on the right track, you know. It feels like we know what we're doing. But I think whether we won or lost there in that last game in the BO3, I think we got what we came for. I'm glad to have won, and that's very, very impactful for us. The reality is, like, we came a long way from the week before, and it felt like we were putting in a lot of effort. So just to kind of like see that give us something to look at, it's a pretty good, like, it's definitely a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like your teamwork really shined, and having all these different players, like you said, like a mashup of different teams, you all played really well. And I can say in the past month or so, this was such a fun and exhilarating watch overall in all 3 matches.
Glad to hear that. I'm giving like a bit of like a PR trained answer, but the reality is, like, when we won, it was like, for me, it was like winning a TI, you know, like it's like it's just another fight night happens every week, or sorry, night shift happens every week. But I'm not gonna lie, like the emotions at the given moment, I think it's just because of the game itself, like that specific game, because we for sure were like at a big deficit, and to win that game, it was like emotionally very, very impactful. I think like it felt really good, and everybody was like yelling after the game. It was good. It was awesome.
For sure. And especially with that last match, like Ido's great talent was just going ham in the first part, you know, and I'm gonna say just how Elizabeth said in your interview with her, it's so rewarding to have melee creeps face a good challenge, you know. So yeah, it was a really good watch. So, and another thing that I wanted to mention too is it's funny to see how you have been part of these teams that have disrupted these win streaks for melee creeps. Like,
I did mention that,
you know, yeah. So, yeah, that was overall a very good watch and a wonderful addition to that pool. So, good job and well done to FPS Lounge.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. So, I do want to also talk about how you are playing alongside Lomein, and you played alongside Lomein in the early days of Melee Creeps when you formed Melee Creeps. So how is it playing together again?
Well, I think Lomein has matured a lot as a player and as a person. I think in the time that, Lomein is my oldest standing like teammate, right? Because when we left Melee Creeps initially, so I'll give you like a brief history. It's like we made Melee Creeps. It was me at the time. Like the core team was like me, Saya. It was really actually just me and Saya, I think, at the time. And then we picked up POSHYPOP, and then we went from there, and we got Lomein and Acts. Well, I'm kind of like not including the names of the people who aren't still in the scene, I guess. But yeah. So yeah, we when we got Lomein back then, it was like the beginning of that team, and then we ended up winning together a little bit, and it was good. Lomein was a good teammate at the time. He was a little bit of a loudmouth. He still is a little bit of that, but definitely definitely a lot more like poised as an individual. He is. And when we left Melee Creeps back then, we went to go join Hydronation, and so me and Lomein joined Hydronation together. So if you include the time that I spent playing on Melee Creeps and the time that we spent playing on Hydronation, he is the teammate that I held, like I was with the longest, basically, back then. So when I left him back then for like the Sneaky Golem team at the time, which we then like renamed it to Floorman after the initial like people kind of like left or whatever, but when I left him, it was actually pretty emotional because he was like my closest friend, kind of like closest teammate. And so for a while, it was like kind of like nothing happened, and then he played on FPSL, and we started competing against each other, and it was like it was fun. It was a movie, and I mean, Lomein is good, and so being back together with him now, like playing with him again, it definitely feels good. I would say he's one of the best players in the game. He kind of always has been. But I think something that is very underrated that people maybe don't really think about is that Lomein is a very, very good teammate. In terms of like what he does for you in the game as well as what he does for you out of the game. Like Lomein is very he just cares a lot, and that's the most important thing to me. Is before I agreed to this merge, I had a conversation with him because, you know, I know that he's really invested in like the streaming stuff, and I told him, listen, like I care the most about winning. I don't care about streaming, I don't care about views, I don't care about any of that stuff, and I want to win. And so you've got to tell me, like, you've got to make a promise to me that like that is what is your #1 priority as well. And he made that promise, and he's been more than anything you could ask for, really. He puts in the time, puts in the effort, performances are good, everything. Like, yeah, it's good. He's a very good teammate. I'm glad to be playing with him again.
That's really awesome, and I'm happy to hear that. And it's cool to see someone change. You know, like you played very early on. You discussed how much he's changed as a player overall. So I think that's really sweet, and I'm happy to see you guys playing together, for sure. All right, and another thing that I want to talk about in regards to this night shift, you were playing different roles throughout each game, and you know, you are all playing so well, and it's astonishing to see someone be able to fill all of these roles alongside their teammates. Like you had some great plays as each hero, as Lash, Lady Geist, and Rem. How do you get so comfortable playing these roles? Like you did so great as each.
Thank you. I mean, that means a lot. The reality is, I think a lot of the game, I mean, there's two parts of it, right? The first part is understanding of the game, that is understanding of what the characters are supposed to do and how they're supposed to fit into the team that they're being drafted into. And then the second part is the actual ability to play the character itself. So when the first game I played it was the BO1, and in that game I played Calico. So Calico's probably one of my most played characters, and then like next I played Lash. Lash is also one of my most played characters, and then Geist, it's like she's like up there. She's like, I have a lot of hours on all these characters, so my actual like mechanics or like understanding of like how to press the buttons is pretty good. The Lash game I would say I played quite horribly, which is like unfortunate because that character is, I think, overall is the character I have the most time on. But I think he just was not really like, I think he was not really good that draft. I kind of made a mistake asking for him. But in general, like I think it's a mixture of the time you've put in playing the character, so your understanding of like what to build, how to actually press the buttons, and how to play. And then the other part is the understanding of like how that fits into the team and like what is expected of you, basically. For me, the reason I think I'm able to do like play different characters basically is obviously like first and foremost I put in the time on like the character that I think that I think are good in the meta. Like I think I will spend time playing them and kind of like bounce around with my teammates around the idea of like who we want playing these characters. And my teammates all, I think, kind of agreed that my communication is probably one of my strongest points. So it makes a lot of sense for me to be the Rem player or like the support, like those like kind of like calm dependent supports that are like, oh, you need to go here so I can heal you, like so on and so forth. Since I spent so much like time playing the game with like so many different teams and players, my comms have developed a lot. So I think for that, it's like it made sense for me to play the Rem, and I spent some time playing it. Obviously my Rem, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty bad. Like realistically, like it could definitely be a lot better. The mechanics are like are you know, like probably subpar. But beyond that, like I think it's because I have the most say in our draft, and it's been that way for a little while. Ever since I kind of like took the initiative on wanting to like take over like draft or like have a lot of say in the draft and have a understanding of what kind of system we're playing and like kind of build the system myself, it allows me to understand what the character is supposed to do better than anyone else. So you wouldn't want anyone flexing when they're not the one. Like I don't know how to explain it really, but what I'm trying to say is like, because I'm the one who made the system, I understand what the character is supposed to do in the system. Or like, I guess I shouldn't say I made the system, but like I kind of figured it out, I guess, kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, like I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. So obviously, like on these characters, I'm gonna know what my teammates want from me, because that's what I would want from them if they were on these characters. And so I just try to execute that. And like the difficulty of it is definitely just like my ability to actually play the character, which like on Rem, like I said before, it's not very good. But I was trying my best out there.
Right. No, that makes sense. I will before we change, I will say I feel like your Rem was, I mean, that got you MVP. Like those plays were pretty crazy. But go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I think the reason they gave me MVP is because I played Rem, not because my Rem was good. It's because they like probably flexibility is valued quite highly, like for like that kind of vote. And like I mean, I did basically like sacrifice my preference to play the Rem, but also like I mean the character is needs to be played by somebody who is like very vocal in my opinion, which is why like I volunteered really to do it. But yeah, I think that's really what it was more about. It's about the fact that I played like all these different characters, so it kind of made it look like I like knew what I was doing.
Yeah,
which is probably why I got the MVP.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And at least in comparison to the kind of players that are in my lower elos, you know, like you said, the communication is so important for this playing support, and the fact that I mean, like you said, communication is your strongest suit, so it's like you managed to be such a good support in that game that I think it pretty much it aided in your guys' victory. Like you got your 90k heals off. You know, I don't see that kind of heals in my games, which I think is definitely commendable. So
thank you.
Of course, of course. Another thing that I wanted to touch on as well is you mentioned about how you are so familiar with the drafting and all that, and you've played so much of these like heroes, like you know who to assign to who. I think that's also very fascinating because I've always wondered, you know, who takes charge, if anyone, amongst the team, the drafting and coordinating all that. So that's interesting to hear about as well.
I think drafting is generally like a collective, like it's like a collaborative kind of topic. But for our team, it's like mostly I would say me and Pierre, who is our coach. And when we were on Floorman, it was also mostly like at some point it became, I shouldn't say that it wasn't always like that, but at some point it became mostly me. And it was because I realized that everybody has opinions on the draft, and if you let them like how can I put this? It's like a form of compartmentalization, because you can't allow people to like formulate their own opinions when it comes to draft, because there's just so many things going on that like not everyone is going to consider every variable. So usually the system that I use these days is I will kind of think about the draft beforehand, and I will talk to people individually on my team and kind of see where their head is at and like what they want. And then obviously in the actual draft, people say whatever they want to, and like it, you know, they're free to give their opinions is what I'm trying to say. But the reality is like it's better to boil down their choices from like so many to like a few. So my philosophy is like I try to bring the best choices to my team for options. So I'm like, okay, should we take this or this, option A, option B, and then they can choose between those options, as opposed to like having to think of the entire thing on like without someone kind of just like spearheading it. I think when you spend the time like studying the drafts and stuff, it makes it easier, because not everybody is gonna like kind of spend their time doing that. So their ideas are not gonna be as like coherent.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I'm starting to think if draft ever does get added to these into these pub games, I wonder how that kind of collaboration is going to go about with all these, you know, randos that are queued together. It's probably be a bunch of chaos.
I think in MM it's always just going to be like kind of pick what you want without trying like it's like pick what you want without ruining everything, you know? It's like that's like the best philosophy I think in matchmaking.
It's true. So I want to start getting into some of these builds that allowed you to perform pretty dang good this past week. So for this first build, And let me know if you need some time to pull up any of the photos or anything that I sent you.
No, I have it open.
Okay, perfect. So this first build that I do want to talk about is going to be the Lady Geist build that was in the finals match 2. I would like to ask you, give me an overview of this build. What were you going for?
Okay, so the overview of the build as like a generality, or like what I'm like hoping to achieve, is very dependent on what I believe the next step is in the game. So for me, it's like laning phase. So I'm trying to win lane first and foremost. I'm trying to win lane, and winning lane to me is breaking the tower. That changes depending on what character you're playing. But in this particular lane, winning the lane is breaking the tower. So I was playing to break the tower. So I would buy extra regen, monster rounds, mystic regen, are all HP trade sustain items that also help you clear the wave. So my whole philosophy in that lane is I'm going to play a war of attrition and just have better wave clear, and I'll get the tower through that. And that will allow me to like basically be able to snowball my game from that position, which is exactly like that. That's like the game plan, and that's like kind of what I went in hoping to do the entire time. Yeah.
With that, in this game, I did notice that you took the Guardian pretty early on. I believe it was around like 7 minutes to 8 minutes against the Victor and Shiv. Yeah. So I definitely see, like, I mean, you got what you wanted done, you know?
Yeah, that was the plan, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then you also go into the Radiant Regeneration, upgrading your sorry.
Yeah.
I'm zooming in. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully at that point the towers. Yeah, no. So hopefully by that time the at that point the tower is already dead. But if it's not, it's like fine. Radiant Regen is like the character's best item, I would say, statistically. So you kind of just really have no choice but to build it. And if you can get it like early, then it's obviously good. But yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask that as well, because that is the one thing I notice in a lot of common Lady Geist builds, is that usually it tends to build Radiant Regen.
Yeah.
So do you think that's one of the better, like, early on items to be upgrading to? Like,
yeah, I mean,
early on in the game?
it's definitely statistically the character's best item in the game. So you should be building it basically as early as you can. Like, you don't want to be like the question that you're asking, it doesn't have a straight answer, which is why like building is hard in this game fundamentally. And a lot of pros also don't even follow the philosophy of what I'm saying. But in essence, the best item to buy is the item that is going to win you the sequence that's right in front of you. So if the sequence of the game to win is the laning phase sequence, then you have to play to win the lane. And so if you're not allowed to save for Radiant Regen by your team while you are by the enemies, I meant, while you are playing the laning phase, then you just can't do it. Like, if you need to build some other items so that you can break their tower, then that's just the world that you live in, and you kind of just have to, like, suck it up and do it. But if they allow you to build Radiant Regen, you should definitely try to get it as early as possible. Like, the earlier you get the item, the better it is for you. But the monster rounds and the extra regen, and then, like, the component, which is the mystic regen, they're all items that are helping me get to where I want to go, which is, like, where I want to go is the place where I get to build the Radiant Regen, which is the place where I break the enemy's tower. Like, that is like the kind of like the sequence that leads up to it.
That makes sense. So, and again, this might be one of those questions that is it's a very differing, because it depends on who you're laning against, who your laning partner is, etc., etc. If you were struggling and didn't get the enemy tower at a reasonable pace, what is there any items you would suggest for a Lady Geist to build?
Yeah, I would build. So I would build anything in the item shop that would allow me to break their tower. Like, literally anything. Like, I would build kinetic dash if I thought shooting the tower is what it's gonna take. I would buy grit if I thought that they're gonna get in my way. Like, you gotta kind of like be a little bit crafty when it comes to that kind of stuff, which is why it's very important that people have a lot of time on the characters that they play, because you want to try to accomplish your goal without like ruining your game. So like, if I go build some like trash item like slowing hex, but I get a kill off of it, like it could be worth it. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, it just depends on the yield of the item. So in reality you could be like build anything so long as you get something in return.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I would say, like, if I'm trying to win the lane and it's not really going my way, I would go like Arcane Surge, Kinetic Dash, let me think, like Headshot Booster, Grit, literally anything. Like literally any of the items that like you could imagine that would be like okay on her, I would build them if that's what it takes to win the lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you. Usually when I'm going to throw myself in here, but when I play Deadlock, I will pick out one of these builds and I'll literally just build left to right. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
that's,
care,
like,
you know,
normal.
if I'm losing the freaking lane or whatever, like, you know, I just get shit on because I'm trying to learn some of these items. So it's good to know that this is good for Lady Geist. I played a couple of games, but I know I could definitely improve, and I'm sure other people can too. Let's see. And then you build into Cultist, extra stamina. You have the Arcane Surge, like you said, the Kinetic Dash going into the mid game.
Yeah.
Going over this build, I want to ask, what would you consider are your core items in this build, if you have some core?
Yeah, the core items are basically the stamina items alongside Radiant Regen, and then probably like Berserker, Warp Stone, Recharge Rush. The green items you can kind of just do whatever you want, but yeah, those are the main items. It's like Radiant Regen, stamina items, and then Recharging Rush, and probably Locket as well. Maybe if you, I mean, you don't need to build Locket if you don't want to, but yeah. What I try to go for is so like kind of to give more of like an idea of why Cultist over like Berserker earlier or whatnot is because I'm trying to AP abuse the enemies, which like AP abuse to me it's like the concept of having more like boons overall. So by having more boons, I hit my maximum life drain earlier, like my 5-point life drain, which or 3-point life drain, which allows me to like just be stronger, and that is like more impactful I think than the damage that I would gain from building Berserker early or like alternatives. That's kind of the point of the Cultist is one of those items though that is definitely like very dependent on like how your game is going. Like if you haven't broken the enemy's tower and you are not like in the position to buy it like right at 8 minutes, you probably should not buy it most of the time. I would just go Berserker in those situations, and you'll probably get more damage out of that item. Cultist itself is like statistically is not very good like an item, but yeah.
I was gonna bring that up too. I'm like, I'm surprised that Cultist was in here because I don't see it very often in my elos, but I've heard very different things like use it here, use it there, you know. So it's very dependent from what you made it sound like. So, and then going off of you mentioned you were talking about your AP order.
Yeah.
I noticed that you did go life drain post the laning phase. You went Essence Bomb first. Normally I do see life drain early on. Why go Essence Bomb first? I know you kind of mentioned it, but
so the reason people put points in life drain early is because it is the most like raw damage that you can gain and like raw sustain. Like in terms of like the actual numbers, it's the best that you're gonna get per AP that you're putting in. But the actual use case of it is pretty low because you're not gonna like no one is just gonna sit there and let you drain them unless they suck. So most of the time, like the bomb is just more consistently reproducible, which like when you're playing the game, in my opinion, at like the highest level, what you're trying to do is create situations that are as reproducible as possible. Like you're trying to find the way that will win you the sequence most frequently. And that is like that's the bomb, because the bomb is like the thing that they can't really avoid. The life drain is avoidable, the bomb is unavoidable, which is why I think putting points in it early allows it to become even more unavoidable and like lower CD, so you can like use it. You will definitely, in my opinion, you will definitely just get more use out of the bomb than you will out of the drain. The only way that drain is useful is if they are like running at you, which like I mean, yeah,
right,
it's not frequent that will happen.
That makes sense. It's funny that you say that because I do see that life drain is more effective with those who are, you know, running out of their stamina or using it ineffectively, and then they're just stuck, and I'm just, you know, sucking up or whatever. But the essence bomb is, and the cooldown on that is pretty it's pretty crazy. Okay. It's good to know. And okay. And then since we are on the subject of talking about AP order and that kind of thing, can you break me down as well how you went into Soul Exchange a little bit later on, and same with Malice, you maxed that out a little bit later on. Just walk me through like how you went through about that. Yeah.
So 2 points bomb, that's for the lane. Life drain is what I'm looking to max next. I'll put a point in Soul Exchange if I think I will need because it's the cooldown point, right? And it reduces the cooldown by a lot. So if I use it and then I want it to be back up like shorter, basically, or like I think I'm gonna use it again before I can max my 2, then I'll put the point in the soul exchange just to lower the cooldown, because it's like the best ROI. Basically, you're investing 1 AP to get that much cooldown, when otherwise you would just be holding that AP to max your 2. But yeah, once I put the point in the soul exchange, usually I will always put it, and then after I do that, I will look to max my 2. Once my 2 is maxed, I will then go the points in the... I will go 2 points Malice, and then max alt, which 2 points Malice is for just... It makes it more, like, consistent, and makes it bigger and just do more. And then when I max alt, it's for team fighting, and then eventually I would max Malice, because it's just like it's kind of like your best option at that point. Maxing the bomb doesn't really like do anything, so you would max that last.
Gotcha.
I think the build in terms of like AP order is pretty like reproducibly the same kind of every game. Like you could probably just follow it and it would work for you most of the time. Very rarely I would recommend putting 2 points life drain in lane, and that's only if you're playing against idiots. Like you can kind of tell by the way that people play whether you'll be able to life drain them or not. So in like matchmaking, sometimes I will go 2 points life drain because I could just tell that they're gonna let me like suck them. But other than that, yeah. Other than that, I would go for the 2 points in the bomb.
Right. Okay. And then I am also still learning some Lady Geist. At the Soul Exchange, I didn't know that it will like silence the person that you are exchanging, correct? And like the teammates around them?
Yeah, it's like a radius of a silence, yeah. The second
And
point
is
in
that...
the Soul Exchange.
I see. And is that upon like how many AP does that? Is that like as
So it
soon
would
as
be
you unlock
3.
it, or 3?
No,
Okay.
it's so you unlock it and then you would put the first AP, that's the cooldown. The next 2 are the one that gives you the silence and the AoE.
Okay. It's funny. I'm telling you, I've played so many games at Lady Geist, and I'm still learning, and I just found that out recently.
Yeah, I mean, no, the game is hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like Deadlock is just a hard game fundamentally.
Right. Like I said at the beginning, I feel like that it's just so intricate, and that's what kind of keeps a lot of people away. But you know, every day we learn. Every day we learn.
Yeah.
The next thing that I wanted to ask is, what adjustments would you make to this build for the low elo player? I know we talked a little bit about the life drain, like if there's people who kind of suck, like, you know, you prioritize doing life drain in the lane. Any other pieces of advice you'd want to give?
No, I think you can honestly just follow the build left to right and you're probably good to go. You'll be fine. Yeah. You could just like literally just build those exact items and it'll probably work out well for you. The only thing is like the late game items, like I only bought healing tempo like that because I had to spend my gold and I don't have like I can't save money for another item. Because like shit's just gonna go down, right? Like in comp you're spending a lot of your gold kind of like as you have it, or like when the time calls for it, because like you know a fight is about to happen. In MM you can kind of just like get away with anything because nothing is coordinated anyways, so you could just like build whatever you want. So in that I would probably not buy healing tempo. I would buy like some other 6k, like maybe Colossus or like Scourge or Phantom Strike or something. Those are all good. Plated armor, whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect. All right. I feel like that pretty much covers the Lady Geist portion that I had for you. Next, I do want to go. Speaking of Scourge, I want to talk about your Rem build that was in your finals match.
Yeah.
3, on Rem. So same thing with this one. If you don't mind going over a little overview about this build as well.
Yeah. So the build is designed to give me just as much like healing and stuff as possible for my teammates, as much utility as I can provide. And I'm kind of looking to, well, my plan changed in the middle of the lane, but I was playing with a Shiv in lane, which that's not regularly gonna be a winning lane most of the time. Shiv Rem, because you have no like threat really until the Shiv gets his rage, which is gonna be a while. Like you'll probably have lost the lane by that point. So I was kind of playing to sustain, like just playing to survive the lane, and not feed, like not die, just get away with as much as we can without like completely ruining the game by like feeding them too much.
Right. You were laning against the Grey Talon, Idol's Grey Talon, and Fishcake Silver, so it makes sense. And I noticed you rushed the Divine Barrier, so that would make sense for your sustain, like you said.
Well, the thing is about building the DB is so it's a 6400 item, right? Like you're not regularly going to be able to save for that in the laning phase, without like throwing the whole game usually. But the reason I was able to do it is kind of because they were not applying enough pressure, and so I kind of made a decision in the middle of the game where I had monster rounds, I had guardian ward, because that's like what I was just building to keep my shiv. Like I'll give him the ability to actually contest the waves, and then monster rounds to actually help him contest the waves as well. And then halfway through, I realized, well, I'm at like 2.5k, and our tower's still pretty healthy. I'm pretty sure I could just greed and save for it. And the reason that I was willing to do that is because I'm playing into Pocket, and obviously DB cleanses Pocket's affliction. So the earlier I got at that game, I thought the better. All in all, I would not recommend for people to do that. You're not going to get away with it most of the time. Like that was like a pretty unique case. Like I usually do build DB pretty early on Rem, but to rush it like that is like an impossibility. That is like a 1 in probably 100 games where you'll be allowed to do something like that. But like I said, like the building principle of like what you want, like the single most effective advice anyone can give you on how to build in this game, in my opinion, is just try to do what you can get away with. Don't try to do something you can't get away with. Like if you're giving something up to be building an item, it's not worth it. Like if you're gonna lose your lane or whatever because you're saving for an item, don't do it. Like it's better to just win the current sequence. For me, winning that sequence, the reason that I was willing to save for the DB is because winning that sequence, like winning the lane, was basically just not dying. And I was able to do that without dying and also save the tower for like a long time. Like that tower lived way longer than I thought it would, which is why I was like willing to eventually I intentionally gave up the tower for like the gold to buy the DB. That's like what ended up happening. I don't really know if that was the best choice, honestly, but it like it is what I did. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that was standing pretty long. Coming from me, and again, someone who's still understanding this game, I would have thought that a Shiv and a Rem lane would have been a pretty good setup, just because in my eyes I'm like, wow, Shiv is played by such like, you know, top tier players, like people know how to play him in the rage, and you know, so it's interesting to get that perspective as well, and like you said, trying to do what you can get away with is it's like a repetitive pattern that I'm noticing as I keep talking to you and with your games.
Yeah.
So that is some really solid advice too. And is in this case, since you did in the circumstance that you ran Divine Barrier and you got that so early, would you have replaced that with any other item if this specific circumstance wouldn't have called for it? Like what would you have replaced Divine Barrier if the circumstances wasn't what it was, considering Pocket and stuff?
In that situation, well, if there was no Pocket, I probably wouldn't have rushed DB like that. Like it was like a combination of all of the variables that made me like feel okay rushing DB. But if there was no Pocket, I probably would have just built like regularly, which is, I mean, you can just follow like any Rem build and that'll have the items. Usually what I do though, like when I play Rem, is I will build the items that are going to help me like win the lane, which is like monster rounds, extra regen, grit for my, like if I need to jump on my teammate and shield him, or like you know, eventually upgrade it to guardian ward. I would buy extra charge opening rounds, maybe if it's a lane where I'm actually allowed to shoot the enemies. It's like realistically, a lot of the game, like a lot of like the building and the decision making, it comes from like your ability to know whether you can actually do something. It's like if you're gonna buy a gun item, like for example opening rounds, if you're gonna buy that item, that means that you believe they're actually gonna let you shoot them. So if you think they're gonna let you shoot them, then opening rounds is gonna be very good, because that's probably your best damage item that you can buy in the laning phase. But like I wouldn't be building that if I thought like the characters are just bad to shoot. Like for example, a character that's like, I'll just give like simple examples. Characters that's like easy to shoot in lane or like good to shoot in lane is like Victor or like Billy or like Abrams, because they're just fat and easy to shoot, and they don't have like, they don't return your damage. Like you shooting at an Abrams, he's not going to shoot back basically. But if you're playing into like, let's just say Mirage, who is skinny, and every time he shoots at you there's a like a nuclear bomb threat on top of your head, I probably would not be going opening rounds into that character, because I can't win a gunfight against him anyway. Like it would be pointless, you know?
Right. That's funny, all the big boys just being shot with these opening rounds.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And then going along, looking at the rest of this build, you have duration extender. I noticed that you imbued that in your tag along, which you were very tag along heavy support, and I think you maxed that pretty early on as well in the game.
Yeah, it was my first max ability. Yeah.
Going full support. What else on here? And then Echo Shard on your tag along too.
Yeah.
That was like I said, super tag along heavy. Let's see.
Definitely core, like Echo Shard, yeah. Probably
Core
the
Echo
character's best item, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then other items, spirit shielding, more healing items. The biggest thing that stood out to me and a lot of other people who were watching as well was Scourge, and
Yeah.
how like 3 other of your teammates also bought Scourge. It was very Scourge heavy builds. Walk me through. I do not ever buy Scourge, so walk me through how this played a part in your build, in your game.
Okay, so their team is majority spirit powered, like, based. So the spirit resist from the Scourge is obviously going to be like quite useful. And then they have a pocket, so the stat of the debuff resist on the Scourge is also gonna be like quite useful as well. Now on top of all of that, Scourge is just probably the best item in the game, like late game. So all in all, put it together, it's like the best choice for a lot of people. Yeah, for a lot of people on your team. I mean, at a certain point in that game, the team fights became unwinnable for them. Like they can no longer actually like do damage to us. We're just too tanky. That's like the Rem healing plus all the Scourges is just like makes kind of like an unbeatable like slop kind of situation that they can't like, yeah, they can't win against that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Scourge, I think is just like a statted item. Like it's just good. The item itself is just good, and Rem is the best user of like items that are good. Like for example, DB or Alkfire or like Decay, Scourge, whatever. He's really good at using those items because of the second point in his 2, which makes the items essentially 35% stronger. No other character has anything like that in the game. So the Rem having those items, that's an item that is 35% more useful than if any other character buys it. So obviously you're going to want to buy those like items that actually are AoE and like do a lot of stuff, and Scourge is probably the best one, yeah, in that category.
I see. Yeah, while studying this build and that looking at that tag along again, I didn't know that about Rem, so that took me by surprise, and it makes sense to be using all of those items like you said. So it's kind of crazy. One thing that I wrote down, and like I said, I've never messed with Scourge, but does that spirit resist on the item stack if everyone?
No, it doesn't stack. Yeah, you just
Gotcha.
get the 40% on whoever you put it on. I mean, if it's stacked, you could literally turn someone into like an invincible like god, but
right. That's why I was like,
I don't really know if that would
work?
be like even. I mean, it would be probably OP, but yeah, no, it doesn't stack.
Okay, that makes sense. And then in a game like this, in the circumstances like, melee creeps were doing really good at the start of this game. Do you think the Scourge like really helped in making a turn in this game?
Yeah.
Obviously you guys made like so many smarter and macro decisions in comparison to melee creeps. Like they were making some mistakes here and there, but that you said yes, the Scourge made a difference.
Yeah, it definitely did. I would say honestly, melee creeps played better than we did, and that is like the reality of. I mean, I think we played pretty bad, honestly. But they played better than we did, and they lost anyways, and that's just kind of like the draft. Like I don't think they could actually win that third game really. We threw really badly and like actually gave them a position that allowed them to basically like win. But in my opinion, that position should never have been possible. Like if the longer the game goes on, the less of a chance they have of winning. Rem is like at a certain point in the game, Rem becomes like a checkmate, especially when your team is spirit loaded like that, because Rem is just like really good at denying spirit damage. I mean, he is a natural builder of an item like Scourge, like he loves the item. He has a natural builder of an item like DB, which counters pocket. He has spirit rest built into his like ability, which he can just give to all of his teammates. Like, yeah. Yeah, Scourge was definitely like the core like thing that we were all looking to get. It's like the biggest power spike we could get on any character in that game probably. And yeah, I mean, we won despite playing worse in my opinion, and that's just because of our draft. Like our draft was just better in my opinion, and so that allowed us to basically get away with making mistakes. And of course, like I mean, they still could have won the game from like the position of being ahead. They did fuck up for sure, but that's just like, that's just like a natural part of the game also, like making mistakes. I think it will just happen. The game is I don't know, the game is hard, and it's also an alpha, so
yeah, no, for
there's a lot going on.
It's like making these mistakes definitely it takes its toll for sure. Okay. And then you mentioned some of this as well, where you're talking about how Scourge is a very key component to the game, Divine Barrier on Rem. Any other core items that you think really made a difference in you playing Rem for these games? For this
Yeah,
last game, sorry.
I would say Echo Shard for sure is his best item by far. Echo Shard's your best power spike, and then like in order, I would say Echo Shard, Scourge. DB is like a little bit more optional. You could choose between like DB, Decay, like Alkfire, like items like that. DB obviously was really good this game because they have Pocket, but yeah.
Okay.
The most important item I would say for Rem is Echo Shard, without a shadow of a doubt.
Echo Shard.
Yeah.
I can't say I've seen too many Rem builds include Echo Shard. Yours might be the first one that I've seen, at least in the anytime I've browsed for these builds. So I was looking at all these like lower elo builds that don't fully comprehend to
Yeah, that might
use
be
Echo
that
Shard.
might be that might be possible.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next thing I want to look into is walk me through your AP order.
Yeah. Honestly, there's not really much I can provide you here because I'm not actually very good at Rem. I kind of just like put it together. I read the APs, and I mean, it sounds like you want your max 2 because it's your most important ability, and then I'm playing against like a hard spirit comp, so I max my 3 after, and it's also the most like utility I can provide around the map with the like putting the helpers on the minions or like stealing sinner sacrifices or taking boxes and stuff. So yeah, I mean, like just by kind of virtue of like it's the best thing available. That's how the AP order works. I think there's like a world where you would max your alt over your max 3, and maybe you even max your alt first. I'm not really sure, like, because the earlier you get that ability max is probably the better, but I'm not really sure how that would work. Like I said before, I'm not honestly very good at Rem. Like I kind of just like I'm playing it by ear. I think though that you definitely need your max 2, so like you definitely would go that at some point, and then you would choose between like max 3 or max alt. And yeah, and then the rest, like the pillow should be the thing you probably max last, because it provides the least, I think, overall. But I mean, like honestly, that could just be wrong. Like that's really why. Like I don't really know. Like better Rem players like might just do their own AP order that could just be better. And yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that.
Right. At least for this build, this definitely was the better option for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe.
And then the last thing that I want to ask you is any piece of build advice, or if you could make this different for a low elo player.
The Rem build?
Yeah. Anything you'd like to...
Yeah, I would say honestly, probably just don't use this build. I think it's like I think it's very like dependent on the game, the specific game that I was playing. I think if you try to like do this in like a normal game, you'll probably it'll like fail miserably. I think you should probably just use like any of the top builds would probably be better for sure. I would say like DB is a little bit underrated. I think you can definitely get it early a good amount of the time, and I think it'll be good. The thing about DB, like what I will say is like I see a lot of Rem players playing, and what they will do is they'll build like stacking shielding items, like weapon shielding, spirit shielding, reactive barrier, and they do all of that because they want the barriers, obviously, because Rem is like quite squishy if he gets caught. But the DB, it serves as both a dispel magic and like a shield for you. So like it's not like it's obviously really good to use the DB on your teammates, but if you're in a bad position, using DB on yourself is like really good because it does cleanse you at the end of the day. Like it's like a really good way to get away from danger. So it's like a dual purpose item in that sense. That's a little bit underrated, but yeah, I mean I would definitely just use like some other players, like an actual support player's Rem build. I'm like just putting stuff together.
I never realized how DB was such a clutch item.
Yeah, it definitely can be, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In that very game you're talking about, I was definitely dead at around like I think 11 minutes if I didn't DB myself in the secret shop. I TP'd from the left side of the map to the right side of the map into my secret shop, and they were like kind of in there waiting for me or something, or like they were like nearby and they tried to jump me, and I DB'd myself and ran away.
That's huge. Yeah, the DB, the savior right there.
Yeah.
Do you think overall that would be a better option to purchase rather than just using Dispel Magic?
Yeah, definitely. Dispel Magic is
sure.
You don't want to waste a slot on that, like a flex slot or an active slot. Sorry.
I see. Okay. Hey, I'll keep that in mind for my future games too. I died too much. That might come in handy.
Yeah, the DB. The only problem is, like I said before, like it's the getting away with like building it early because you have to save a lot of gold. You could just like die with a bag and just like throw the whole game.
Right. Keep that in mind then.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all the questions that I've had so far. Do you have anything you'd like to add in regards to either of these builds or any other build advice? I mean, there's definitely a lot we can all take away from this, so thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. No, honestly, I don't really have more. Like, I mean, I could just like talk about stuff, but no, I don't have anything specific.
All right. Well, I appreciate you so very much for taking the time and helping me understand building and itemization. And here's to this week's and Deadlock's Night Shift. And I wish you the best. FPS Lounge.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, BUILDLOCK enjoyers. And maybe we'll talk again, AVG.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Of course. Thank you. Bye-bye.